So it's me and you talk all the time, and we're always like, you know, what is it like in different ages of your life? Like we were talking about like your kind of past romances, relationships, like being in the different times, like what is your age at that time? Like, you know, just different ages and phases. And it's like really interesting to me to really think about like the differences. Cause like we had that one topic where we had Jared on and he talked about kind of being a guy right now. Yeah. Now, mind you, like his age, you know, he's 28. So like just talking about like being a guy right now. Right. So I was like going back and forth and I'm like, what is like, is there such a difference? Because we always talk like there is, like when we talk about it, we're like girls are usually more mature at the same age of guys. And that's not putting anything down on guys. It's just like kind of a proven.
It's a fact.
Now, that doesn't mean that they're like.
And not always.
It's just like the different ways that like guys are versus females and where they're at in life. And I wanted to pull up like a little bit of some like statistics or some actual factual information, and then we can discuss it. Yes. So I'm going to go through this first, and then we can kind of talk about how it is. Yes. So when I was like doing research, like they basically grouped the different phases as like 13 and 19. And then it goes your 20s, and then it goes into your 30s, and then your 40s. And then 50s to 70s. So
50 to 70?
Yeah. Okay. Like that's, so you're kind of really like 20s, 30s, and 40s are all very different. Separated. Yeah. So.
I think that makes sense. I see that.
They consider 13 and 19 your teens, which it ends in teen, but they consider it kind of like the same type of phase. Yeah. Obviously, you're getting a little bit more mature than when you're 13, but I think about when I was like 13 to 18, and I don't know if there's
I don't think there was much of a difference. I'm going to be so for real with me.
Like, same. Like, I can't. Yeah. I don't think there was much of a difference.
I was very immature at all of those periods.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. I'm pretty sure I was just a toxic wreck running around and, being super immature, thinking I was.
I was going to say, I thought I knew everything. Yeah. I'm sure compared to a lot of people my age, I was more mature, but...
I thought I was. I can't look back and say if I was. Or I was also fighting a lot, so I wasn't really in a mindset of like dating all the time. And also, I'm a Sagittarius. I have a lot of trauma. So I was doing a lot of like, I would meet someone, date them for 2 weeks, and then never want to talk to them again. And then, so I was leaving a lot of guys like pretty upset. I'm not going to lie.
Just that sentence alone. I'm a Sagittarius and I have a lot of trauma.
I should have a shirt with that made. I'm a Sagittarius. I have a lot of trauma.
So watch out.
Maybe have caution. Just have caution with
Proceed
me.
With caution.
I'm not going to pretend like I'm not fucked up.
That's a good thing, though. You are self-aware.
I am very self-aware that I have issues, but like, I don't know. I just make them a part of me.
I love that.
So 13 and 19, psychological drivers, and this is with romance and sex. Okay. For boys, dominated by testosterone surges. The male teen brain is wired for risk, reward, and physical validation. They're often more impulsive, less emotionally expressive, and still learning empathy. So they're really not. They're just like, they're driven by their wee-wees. Yeah. That's where they're driven.
And I would argue that in their 20s it's the same.
We're in there. Okay. Girls, estrogen and oxytocin contribute to a stronger pull towards emotional bonding and verbal expression. Girls mature faster neurologically, especially in areas tied to emotion and decision making. Okay. So girls are not on that same path. Yeah, they got the estrogen flowing and they have oxytocin, which I thought was really interesting that they have that. And so they're really looking for emotional bonding, which seems to be a theme in girls' lives. But interesting thing when we get a little later is how are girls now? Versus, you know, how we talked about, like, with that whole thing about leaving guys behind and girls are kind of like, I don't need a relationship, you know. So the relationship dynamics, girls typically seek validation through connection, while boys often seek validation through sexual success or peer approval. On par. Watch any 80s movie. Yeah. It is exactly just that.
Yes.
Guys being like, oh, yeah, in the locker room. In their locker room.
Literally.
And it's like, do you guys really talk in the locker room? Like,
I feel like they did, but I don't know.
Locker room is even a thing anymore?
I don't know. Is it? When I was in high school, it was, but I don't know.
I was not changing or freaking showering in a locker room. Like, gross.
I never showered at the... No.
I always made sure that my PE was last period so I could go home because I was not showering in a gross, like, locker room.
So I actually never did any PE stuff. Like, I would sit it out.
How the hell did you do that? Like,
I just told them that I didn't want to be sweaty and, like, go to class.
You just tell them that? Yeah. That doesn't work. Fuck, Alyssa, that doesn't work.
There was one time I participated, and it was a jump roping contest, and I was determined to beat this man because I hated him. He annoyed me so bad, and I beat his ass, and that's the only time I participated.
It's pretty much
And then when you had to do the mile... you know, like, you had to do the mile. So, like, I would do that.
I had to run with my hands over my boobs. Because like I said, when I was going into, like, 6th to 7th grade, literally over the summer, I went from no boobs to size D's.
Oh, my God.
And then I was... Oh, it hurt.
Running.
It hurt. I didn't understand. Like, I tried to get a proper bra, but, like... Then it was like all the boys were like, oh, you know, because when you go from nothing to that, it's like, what? You know? Whoa. And I would always be like running like this because I was pissed. I was like, look at them. Look at my boobs. Like, I was so angry because, like, I always just hung out with guys and I always, like, had fun with them and skateboarded with them. And then all of a sudden I was a walking titties. That's all I was. I was walking titties. That's it. I remember story time. I was hanging out with my guy friends. And my one guy friend, I don't know why we were around a fire. I don't remember why we were around a fire, but we had a fire going. And he was like, Heather, come help me up. And he's my guy friend. So I go over there and he literally grabs my boobs. And I was pissed. I was pissed. I was like, I'm so mad that was a thing now. Like, that was it. Yeah.
Really? I'm going to push you in this fire.
Yeah, I really wanted to. He actually had to apologize a lot for me to even be his friend again. I was so pissed. Girls are likely to confuse intensity with intimacy.
I can see that.
Yep.
I can see that.
Yeah, so maybe these guys are real intense because they're wanting to get that good feel. Right. And they're thinking, oh, he loves me.
He just loves me so much.
He loves me so much. And he's obsessed with me and wants me. And But in truth, he just wants the...
Yeah.
Boys may care deeply, but struggle to show it or even identify it. So at this time, they might have those deep feelings, but they don't really understand them. It seems girls kind of grasp and understand those feelings better.
I think... Hopefully it's getting better, but I don't really know. But I think it's because, like, girls are just kinder to each other, like, with their friends, like, when they're feeling something. And, like, I've noticed... Yes.
Girls are kinder.
No. No, when it comes to, like, when you're talking to your friends about, like, a feeling, like, they're more receptive. Men just joke around, because even Andrew said, like, even to this day, like, all his guy friends are really, like, level-headed and good, but, like, if one of them opens up in the group chat, one of them makes, like, some kind of stupid joke, and then they all just make a stupid joke, and then it all, like, one of them was trying to be vulnerable, and then it just kind of, like, and then they lose sight of everything.
I wonder if it's, like, uncomfortable for them.
I think so.
Because it's not. I think it's getting better.
I do, too.
I think it's getting better. Well, maybe it's starting to reverse. I don't know. It's reversing. It might be reversing now, but it was getting better there for a short time to, like, show emotion as a guy. And I mean, you see how I raised my boys to have that.
I think the ones that were raised really good are doing way better and are open, like, they're being more accepted and open about feelings and everything. But I have, like, 2 encounters, and this is just, like, anecdotal, so it's a very small amount of people, but 2 instances where I guess Andrew, because he wears pink all the time.
Yeah.
He was at City Walk with a group of his friends, and a group of teenage boys, like, ran by, like, oh, where'd you get your hat? Like, just being, like, stupid about the color pink. And then there's this other guy on TikTok. I'm sure you've seen him. He's, like, this man. He's, like, a straight man. And he just wears makeup all the time and, like, does it. And it's
I love him.
Love him.
I also love a guy that will dress like, they calls it, like, a man slut. And I love those whole outfits.
I think it's so cool. But he said he was wearing pink shoes. And, like, a group of teenagers were, like, laughing at him. And he's like, what's so funny? And I'm like, oh, well, like, they look like girly shoes that you're wearing. And it's like...
That's sad. I love a guy that can wear pink.
Me too. It's like...
I think it's so attractive.
I think it is too. Like, makeup. Like, obviously, like, I don't think if you're not, like...
For me.
Dude, I would love to have, like, my boyfriend be wearing makeup. I think that'd be the coolest fucking thing. Like, if we're both walking around with, like, big-ass lashes and shit.
I think if it's, like, for going out, like, I don't know if I want to watch my boyfriend be in makeup, like, all the time for myself.
Yeah.
That's just for me.
I feel like if you can balance everything, I think that's the coolest thing.
If you can balance it and it's not like...
Like that one dude with the mustache and makeup. Like, come on, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love him.
I think that's so cool.
I just think I see it as just really being so... Confident in your sexuality and your masculinity that you can go and do that and you don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks.
Yep.
I think it's hot.
Yep.
So let's shift towards how modern women are right now at this age range.
Ooh.
We're going to talk about book talk again.
Oh boy.
So younger girls now face hyper-romantic ideals via TikTok, book talk, and pulp culture. They're simultaneously expected to emotionally mature and sexually liberated. So now there comes this field coming in, right? Where it's got the TikTok and the book talk and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, here's this fantasy world. Now, mind you, there is definitely fantasy worlds back then as well.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like harder to get in. I mean, I was a big reader. So for me, I could go into fantasy worlds. But like, if you're not a big reader, you didn't have TikTok. Like, you just kind of lived in the real world, which is really sad.
I don't think it was like as accepted.
It wasn't
either.
And it was considered like, oh, that's so weird. And
can we not do that right now?
Yeah, so now it's like they are expected to be sexually liberated, which creates an identity tug of war between empowerment and performative desire.
Okay.
Yeah, but also like what they're supposed to be doing. Please stop.
Sit down.
They're supposed to be like with their, you know, makeup of who they are, their hormones. They're supposed to be more geared towards like wanting the emotions and wanting to feel like have that love and have like the puppy love, you know. But now because of what the message they're getting fed, it's kind of going against their biological makeup.
Yeah.
Because now it's saying like you need to wait for the most perfect guy, you know, a perfect guy that's created, or you need to find that toxic hot guy that's going to be not toxic for you. Or, you know, you don't need any guy at all.
Yeah.
You know, you do it yourself.
Yes.
And don't you worry about guys, you know?
Yep.
So it's interesting. So let's move forward in the 20s. 20s is identity formation and trial runs, which is interesting to me because I feel like there's trial runs happening in your teens, but maybe because of where you're at, like your identity.
Yes.
And like forming that, like it's really not considered a trial run.
No.
One time, actually we'll get there in this one. I have another story. So, men, brain development finishes around 25, means the delayed emotional regulation. Men still equate love with freedom loss at this phase.
Okay, yeah.
I have a big issue with freedom. They are still experimenting with roles, lover, provider, explorer, without fully committing to any of them. Women often step into nurturing or healer roles in relationships.
Always.
Hello. Boy, howdy do they. Jeez. Start considering the future career, children, long-term partnerships, even if only subconsciously. So they're in their 20s, that's what girls are typically geared towards. They're considering the future. So typically in the 20s, men are all about their freedom.
Yes.
They're looking at love, but they equate it as my freedom's gone.
Right.
And they have like delayed emotional regulation. And then women are the nurturer, the healer. They're looking at the future, creating a family, all that good stuff, right? They also may find themselves doing the majority of emotional labor during this time. You're in a relationship during this time, and you're hoping that the guy's going to pick it up. Not saying every guy, and this, again, is not geared towards, like, it's just blanketed towards,
right. This is just general.
General. Yeah. You could be very different.
Yes.
You're going to find yourself really holding the end of like your relationship as far as the emotions go. You know,
it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but here's the modern shift for women. Women are delaying marriage and children now in their 20s, focusing on self-exploration, education, and financial independence. There's a surge in soft life movement ideals.
Love it.
Peace over performance. Relationships now must enhance their lives.
Yes.
Which I fucking love.
As it should.
Not complete them.
100%.
I love soft life.
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic.
So here for this.
Yes.
Like
I love
this
it.
part, that I'm so here for. The fact that women now are not focusing in their 20s on getting married, having babies. That's what the shift, absolutely. And I've seen it. It has happened 110%. They're like, yeah, I don't need to do that right now. No. You know, and they're getting their own education and learning how to take care of themselves. And I think it's honestly very attractive.
I do too.
Quality for a woman not to need to rely on a man.
I don't think anybody should rely on anybody.
No.
I just think like
on yourself. When you rely on yourself or when you become totally good with yourself, like the relationships become so much better.
Because you just know yourself. You know what's going to work, what's not going to work, you know, like for the most part. Of course, things always come up.
That being the case, that women are being more geared less towards marriage and the men taking care of them and they want to have their... Oh, we were talking. Sorry. Totally.
I don't remember what I was
saying. We were talking about if you don't need somebody else.
Oh, yeah. You should never need somebody.
No.
I think because I hear a lot of time women are like, I don't need a man. Nobody should need anybody, a man or a woman.
It's okay to want one.
I think I think it should make life more fun and more enjoyable, more helpful. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be a need.
No. It should not be a need. And you're right. Like, it should just be more helpful, enjoyable. Yeah. Like, you feel... You know, like you just want to have that companionship. Yes. Like it's such a different level when 100%. You get past this point of like needing.
Yes.
Like when you get past, the comfortability, but like when you get past this, like, because it really is like, it kind of consumes your life if you need somebody because like, what if you lose that person? Like what if this happens?
And that's all you're thinking about. You're like, oh, I got to keep this person. And that your mental, you're just always thinking of like, oh, I'm going to lose this person. What if this happens? What if that happens? Da, 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 da. Yeah. And you're never at peace.
No. You're never at peace because you're like, what if I do something wrong? Like, what if... And then
or if you say something and then they don't respond how you're wanting it to happen. And then you're like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Did I say this? Did I do this? Are they going to do this? Like, and then you just spiral. And we've all been there. I have been there so many times.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think to a certain extent, when it's not toxic, I think that's kind of normal. Like when you're younger. Like teens, early 20s. Like I think that's what that's kind of for, is to figure out what works, what doesn't work, how you want to be, how you don't want to be, what is going to work for you. You know what I mean? Like you need to work through those. Okay, I'm not going to tolerate that again. Or I don't like this. Or that's how you find out those things. Yeah, you kind of find out what is going to work for you and what isn't. It's when you don't get yourself out of that loop that is the issue. I have come to this place in my age where I am perfectly, like, I love my relationship, but I'm perfectly okay being by myself. Yes. And that has probably been the most freeing thing I have ever experienced because I don't have this massive form of anxiety of, like, what if I'm alone? It's like, I know I can make myself happy like, I will on my
own. Yeah. Like, like it's totally freeing. So
wait, what was the question?
Oh, I don't know.
You asked me a question.
Oh, shit. Do you think guys in their 20s are noticing that girls are less into them? And do you think that's creating a shift into them wanting to be ready for like marriage and things like that earlier than what has been recorded in the past?
Yes. I think that's kind of what is breeding these, like, I guess you would call them incel type people. I think the fact that women are wanting to hold off and either are wanting an older man or just not wanting to date at all, I think it's upsetting a lot of them because, as we know, testosterone is running high. Yeah. And they got a lot of things happening and not a lot of stuff happening for them. Things. Yeah. Because I've heard also the rate that women, not just women, the rate that people are having sex age-wise is increasing too. Like it used to be like, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know it used to be like teenagers, you know, now it's like they're waiting till like their 20s sometimes. Yeah. I don't think that that's a bad idea. I'm going to be completely honest. But I do think that, and this could be a whole other topic for a video, but I do kind of think that you need to make those mistakes and you need to make those things that you find out a little younger in life. And I'm not saying you need to sleep around with everybody as a teenager.
Please experiment.
Yeah. Like I think you need to have room for mistakes. Nobody's gonna, like, sometimes I'm noticing with younger generations, they're so afraid to make mistakes.
They are.
They're so afraid to do things that they might regret, or, you know, and I'm not talking about like a major, like, obviously you don't want to have something tragic happen, but all of the things I know now happen from mistakes I've made and issues that I've had along the way. And I think if you're not doing these things, and you're not going to find out who you are, what you like, you know what I mean?
But I think it's important to, honestly, I'm going to push out therapy. I think everyone should have therapy.
Yes.
And they should look up the tools to be able to maneuver those hurtful situations and those, like, issues that come at you in a healthier way. Because I think a lot of times you can develop unhealthy habits.
Yes.
Doing your relationships, like having those painful things happen. I think it's good if you don't already have that foundation to have those tools, that you 100%. Get therapy to have those tools. But I think absolutely experience, it's important to experience heartbreak. It's important to experience the pain. It's important to experience, like, the happiness, and, like, be like, okay, well, I don't really like this, or I do like this, or I want this, you know, like you said, to develop an understanding of it. I think it's very important of who you are.
Yeah. And I can't speak for younger 20-year-olds now, but I know at least when I was younger, it was always more, and, like, I still kind of look at it this way, and maybe it's wrong of me to think this, but I don't know, that if you're, like, in your, like, mid-20s and have never dated, it's almost kind of like a red flag. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You're like, ooh,
it's, like, a little weird.
Well, because then you're like, well, this is going to be a very immature relationship I'm about to get into.
It actually typically is.
Yes.
Very immature.
Yeah.
And no, like, again, don't come at us because, like, this is just what we've experienced. But, like, it typically is. How can they? They haven't had any experiences. They haven't been able to, like, maneuver through or work through those things. So they're going to be a little bit more immature in how they look at a relationship.
Yes.
So in my 20s, I was still just doing until I turned, like, because I had a very horrible marriage.
Your life was just not the norm in general.
I was like, when I was actually 20 is when this happened. Again, from before I got into that situation, I would just, guys got maybe a 2 weeks with me, and then I was like out of there. I was like, see you later. Like, no, thank you. Especially, oh my gosh, the biggest thing for me, and that's where I'm not the norm. And again, a lot of trauma, so could be why. I wasn't saying I love you to nobody. Like, I used to be like, my friends would be like, oh my God, my boyfriend of 2 days, and I love him. And I'd be like, what the fuck? That's weird.
Extreme.
Come on. Girls do it all the time.
That's
like,
true.
When they're little, when they're young, like, I'm talking like teenager.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like you feel like you're in love with them or something.
I forgot to tell you this. Okay, this is the one Sagittarius man I dated. All right. So, this is the one I met online. Well, I met 2 online, but I don't really count the other one. But the one that I actually dated for a while.
Okay.
We were seeing each other for quite a while, and I was away, so, like, I didn't get to see him that week. And I literally texted him that I missed him. And he was like, that's kind of, like, weird. He was like, so... And I'm like... And then the next week I broke up with him because I found another guy.
That's kind of, like, weird.
I was like, so then I'm thinking, I'm like, could that have contributed to me not wanting to express my feelings? Like, okay.
Sorry about that.
Not going to say anything, I guess.
Gosh, that
but
would
then
be...
he literally, when I broke up with him, he's like, is it because I said that was weird? I'm like, no, actually, I was already talking about it at this point. But I still thought that was weird. I'm like, God forbid.
I don't think missing is a bad thing.
No, it's not like I was like, I'm dying over here with... I literally said I was a little
extreme on some things, like how I pivoted. Like, I'm glad you... Like, I don't know how you got out of things, but, like, how I got out of things I didn't want to be in. Like, I pretended I went to jail. But then the guy showed up at my apartment.
That's extreme.
And I had to hide.
It is so extreme.
I know. I told my friends, tell them I went to jail, even though I've never been to jail in my life. So then he shows up in my apartment with a potted plant. And I was like, oh my God, my roommate. I was like, answer the door, because we could see him out my balcony. Like, I could see. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck's he doing here? And she answers the door, and he's got a potted plant, and he's offering to pay my bail.
God.
That made me feel really bad. And my friend was like, yeah, it's like this much. And I was like, no. Like, I was not trying to do that.
No. That would make me feel like shit.
I was not trying to do that. So I came out and I was like, hey, I didn't actually go to jail. And then he said, that's okay.
See? And you were
do you want to go out? I was like, no.
Do you want to be friends?
No, he wanted to go. He just didn't I'm like, I literally pretended to go to jail so I could not date you.
Oh.
Yeah, and then another guy told I was a stripper. It didn't deter him.
No.
I thought it would. He was like super religious or whatever, and I thought he would
they love that.
Yeah, well, I thought he would see me damaged and not like it.
No.
And then one time when I full on broke up with a guy, like face to face, he was at my apartment. Mm-hmm. I was like, hey, this isn't going to work anymore. Like, no. He cried, but I was only dating him for like a week. And I was like, this is weird. And then I said, if you need... I'm such a fucking asshole. I said, if you...
You're aware.
I said, if you need to cry...
Oh, God, what'd you say?
You can go sit on my stairs. In the hall.
Oh, my God. Do you know what I told somebody? And this made me feel so bad.
That is the worst thing. And he did. He went out there because it was an inside like building, you know.
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch. Oh. I did look out to see if you'd left yet. He just sat out there, cried.
That's sad.
Well, trust. I got my karma.
Well, I wouldn't say that was worth that
I get it, but I'm just saying, like, that's what my dating. So being in love was not a thing for me. No. I never felt in love. I was always like, no, that's weird. Like,
I thought I loved all of the guys that I was with. Mm-hmm. I think, like, but it didn't. I was not someone that fell in love right away. Like, I definitely had love, but I will say all of the loves were different. They were all very different ways.
I think love is very different.
I think it is very different.
For everyone else. Yes. I think there's, like, I don't think it's the same kind of love for anybody, period. No. Even with your kids.
Yeah, I think they're all different. It's
very different. How you love them, how the love language is. It's, like, all different.
Animals.
Yeah.
All in different ways.
It's all different.
I just want to say this one story. Mm-hmm. So I had, my guy friend, Nathan, that I was always, like, I grew up with as a teenager. Him and I were, like, really close.
Yes.
And I ended up finding out that he had a thing for me. And I wasn't into him. I was into his brother, his older brother.
I know this story.
And I told him, when he told me that, I don't remember saying this, but he told me I said this to him. And he said that one time when he asked me out, I said, no, I like your brother.
Just know I like your brother.
His brother had no interest in me. I was always over there. I was like, hey.
Hi.
It's like, Ryan. Hey. He's probably like, get this lady out of here. He was like, he was older than me, but I've always had a thing for older.
Oh, no.
I've always, like, that's always, like, I dated this one guy. He was so nice. He was Chris. Like, I think I've told you about him before. He's such a cool guy. He's awesome now. He's married, has a kid, like, awesome. But I broke up with him because he was literally, like, we were in the same birth year, but he was younger than me. And I couldn't get past it. I couldn't.
Okay.
I couldn't do it. His birthday's in May. Mine's December. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I guess I get it, though, because if you told me to date a guy 40, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
It'd have to be like,
I
find most of them creepy.
Yeah.
So you'd have to really show me one that's not for me to want to date him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say this is the case for all of them because it's definitely not. I'm sure there's ones out there that are, like, single and are great, but
they're taken, I think.
I think the majority, and that's why.
Yeah, I think they're taken. And
so it's probably...
happily so. You know what I'm saying? So it's like...
Yep, that's my theory on that one.
Yeah, and I'm not, like, here I am again. I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm just going to date you for 2 weeks and I'll call it good.
You can cry on my steps.
I'll just tell you to go outside. Oh my God. I'm kinder now. I have gotten kinder. Yeah. I definitely, I just don't know. I don't know how to handle it, and I didn't know how to handle a guy crying in front of me, and I've had quite a few now, so now I can handle it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to put him somewhere, and I was like, just go
there.
Just go on my stairs.
See, I'm that way with everybody that cries in front of me. I'm like,
even when I'm crying, you're like, oh no. What was that? It was like tea kettle. Fuck.
I don't even know. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay.
All right. So moving on. Let's talk about 30s. Now we're guys and girls in their 30s.
I have entered my 30s.
Commitment, pressure, or freedom.
Freedom.
That's the vibe of your 30s.
Okay.
Men begin to feel pressure to settle down or confront their fear of loneliness.
I need to tell a PSA to every single person that is listening out there right now. Never. When I say never, I mean never do something because you feel pressured. Please.
100%.
Do you know what I saw at Disney this weekend?
What?
I saw a young couple wearing the guy that had a shirt that said, "I'm getting married. Shoot me." How about just don't get married then? How about just don't?
That's what that.
How about you just don't? If you have, and I'm sure it's like a joke, but like if you are literally feeling on the fence about shit, don't do it. No. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Don't do it. Just don't do it. Period. Like that. No pressure.
No.
And if you have to wear a shirt that says "shoot me," then don't get married.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The poor girl. So I feel bad for the girl.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Some finally feel ready, while others experience a delayed adolescence, especially if they prioritize work over intimacy in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
They can become better partners if they face their emotional immaturity.
Yes.
So if they're working on themselves, meaning that if these 20-year-olds really focused on work and they're like, oh, I'm going to get through college and I'm going to do my job and have it all set up, and now they might think they're ready, but then be like, but I've done all this work, I want to play now.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I asked a friend of mine who is 25, like, where does, he think he's at in life? And he's like, well, I've gotten through school, and he's like, so I think I'm ready to start looking for a life partner. And I'm like, interesting. A life partner.
Yeah, I like that. I like life partner. That's what I like to call Andrew.
I don't know. He says he's like, I guess, more traditional or whatever, but like, I still like thought it was interesting because it was like he got through college and now he's like, okay, now I think I could possibly
settle down.
Not experiment.
Well, start experimenting not experimenting on women. Experimenting with women that you could settle down with.
All over the place.
Those days that your words just don't come out right.
Yeah, I have those days every day. And then with my texting, because I'm so fast, I don't give a shit.
Sometimes I can decipher them, but then other times I'm like, what?
I have to literally carefully, concise, and work my emails all day long. Work all my... And I'm not going to retype shit.
No.
I'm just like, boop, send.
I will
and I'm
say,
like, shit, that makes no sense.
Like 99% what you send, I get it.
I don't have time.
Every now and then I'll be like, girl, what?
I have ADD and I don't have time. And I'm moving so fast in my head, and I'm just texting, and I send before I realize. Yep. And I'm like, well, I look real dumb right now. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I have to so be on it at work that I don't care. All right, so women in their 30s. Often in their relational prime, they know themselves better, can communicate desires, and are more sexually confident. Biological clock, though now challenged by reproductive tech, still plays a subtle role. Begins questioning gender roles. Why am I the default caretaker? So, what's that modern shift? Now, huge rise in single women by choice More women are freezing eggs, opting for co-parenting, which we've discussed before, or choosing not to have kids at all. Emotional intelligence and freedom are becoming non-negotiables in relationships. They'll leave rather than settle. Fuck yes. Go! Yes. And I hope guys do the same.
Yes,
I hope guys do the same.
Yep.
I hope they leave instead of settling.
Yes.
Period.
100%.
But there is such a rise on this co-parenting.
Yeah.
Where you said it before, best friends who have decided they would like to have a child and have a house, but do not want to be in a relationship, have started doing it together.
Yep.
Like we co-parent.
We co-parent.
Our little animal.
Yes, we do.
No, but I think it's funny because it's literally just best friends.
It is.
And they'll buy a house together because they can't afford one on their own.
Yep.
They want to have a child, but they want them to have like a kind of more like rounded out type of, not doing it on their own. So they literally co-parent together. It's almost like a whole ass relationship without the intimacy part of it. But like when I say that, because a lot of them, like me and her, we brush each other's hair. We'll do that. But I'm talking about like they don't go beyond like
not like sex.
Yeah. So it's interesting that they're doing that. And the freezing the eggs, such a common thing now.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about having a child right now because maybe they don't know if they're ready.
Yeah.
So they're freezing their eggs and they can have one later because children are actually being born a lot later in life than what was previous. Like women in their late 40s and their 50s are now starting their families. Yeah. Which is so liberating.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
For so long you heard you're pretty much damaged goods past 30.
Yep. Yeah. If you're 40, you're obsolete. Like, you would be forgotten. I think the Barbie movie really showcased that. Like, if you're in your 40s, you're forgotten. It's like, not anymore.
No.
Not anymore with 20-year-old guys. I can tell you that. They're like, see 40-year-old women. They're like...
See, and that's what I'm wondering. Okay, so this is what I'm... Because you know how I was telling you, like, you wouldn't say I'm young, but I'm not, like... I'm 30. So, like, and what I hear from younger women is they do not want younger guys or people their age. And so I'm wondering if guys are like, well, the 40-year-olds will. So I wonder if they're going towards that.
You want to hear my idea?
Yes.
It's because when I read that it almost seems like 20-year-old guys' sexual drive and 40-year-old women's sexual drive on par.
I could see that.
With each other. So I almost think it's like a weird biological coming together and not... and then 20-year-old girls aren't there. So it makes sense that they're like, you know, maybe they sense that biologically. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, she's fucking hot. I want to get with that. Maybe because there's like a biological pull. Mm-hmm. That's what
It could be. Well, because I think there's so much to our senses than just like what we can see, like, pheromones. There's a whole bunch of like other things, subconscious stuff.
It is such a craze. Like, I can't even go into supermarkets. I can't go out to gym, as you know. Like, I can't do any of those things. And it's literally either creepy old hitting on me nonstop, or it's 20-year-olds, like 20-some-year-olds coming at me.
I think that's so fascinating because I will say, like, I am someone who, since I was a child, I was getting really creepy men approaching me. Since a child.
Yeah, I've always had creepy men approach me.
But I've heard, and a lot of other women my age have been like, oh, suddenly I'm not being catcalled. Oh. Because I am not a child, teenager, or a young 20-year-old anymore.
What the fuck? Why? What's my problem?
Your butt, Heather. You got a nice butt.
I literally cannot walk anywhere.
I know. You got your hips are like, whoop.
If I take the dogs for a walk, it's honk, 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 and then yelling at me all the time. I'm just like,
and I can confirm. I've seen it. This is wild.
Okay.
But
it's my hips and my butt.
Yes. I'm very jealous of the hips.
These hips can't lie.
No, they can't.
They literally can't.
They can't.
They just come out, and I'm like, what the fuck?
No.
Get back in there. And they're like, here I am.
I'm jealous.
Here I am. That's how they are. And I'm like, sometimes I don't, but sometimes I just want to go to the gym and I just want to work out hard. And that's when, I wear my big, huge, baggy shirts. Because, like, I just want to...
She means business today.
Yeah. If I put on my big, baggy shirt, I'm like, don't give a fuck who's around me. I'm coming to get sweaty and get my shit done. Like, and I don't want you looking at my butt. Because I've had a guy, like, come up and be like, I love being behind you when you work out. Why? And that's the other thing. Like, they don't... It's got to be my face, my dip. I don't know what it is. They have no fear to come tell me.
They really don't.
No, they have no fear.
But I think it's because I've said, like, you just have that aura. Like, you and Andrew both have that aura of you guys where you are just open. Like, very comfortable vibes.
I've actually heard that so many times.
I feel like me and Liz kind of have the vibe of, I'm scared of them. Like, that's how I'm always, like, perceived.
This is you.
I'll be having the best...
No, hold on. When you don't have your glasses on, it's worse.
I will be having the best time, and that is what my face looks like.
You'll, like, look around like this.
Not the Melania face.
I know you, and I can tell in your... Like, this is how you are my best friend. I can tell in the shift in your no face that you're not making when you're actually not having a good time. I have a picture of it when you're drinking your drink like this.
Oh my god. That was so funny.
And I'm over here like,
you're like trying to make it a good time, and I'm like, I will burn someone alive right now.
Oh, hey. And you're just like, I'm going to kill everything. But it's funny because no one else clocked it. And I was like, oh, she's pissed. Oh, shit.
Oh, that was funny. That was a good time.
Except with me, that is the funny thing is like, I'm so expressive. Yeah. You instantly know if you pissed me off.
You know. Yes. You can't hide your face. Ever.
Or if I don't like it, I'm like...
Yeah, always.
I remember when we were looking for houses and Liz was like, fix your face. Because I was like going into it, like, no. All right, so moving on, so we don't have a super extra long one again. So in the 40s, my age.
I think even the 40s. I'm like,
no,
you're not born in the 40s.
Yes, I was.
Like, damn.
It's called The Awakening and Unraveling.
Okay.
Which makes sense. Men face existential
crisis. I could see that.
Questions.
Yes.
Am I fulfilled? Mm-hmm. Am I desired? Did I miss out? Some may seek younger partners as validation of virility.
I've seen that a lot.
Others lean into deeper connection.
Yeah.
If married, may emotionally re-engage or emotionally check out. Could be 50-50.
I'd say that's pretty on par.
So women have this big shift.
Yes.
Many realize they've been performing roles. Mm-hmm. Mother, wife, caretaker, and begin reclaiming self. Well, fuck.
Oh.
That's exactly what I did. This often includes reevaluating sexuality, friendships, and purpose. Mm-hmm. May become less tolerant of emotional unavailability or inequality. 100%.
Yeah.
Some initiate divorce, not from lack of love, but from lack of being seen.
Oh.
Crazy, huh? So here's the shift in women. This is the rise of the middle-age rebrand. More women come out, explore polyamory, start businesses, or dive into spiritual practices for the first time.
Love that.
They're choosing authenticity over obligation.
I love that. I think that's what everybody should do. This is what my question's going to be. And I would like to hear for people who are in their 40s and 50s and maybe did always follow their true authentic self. I would love to hear if they feel any different or like what, because like I don't think we see a whole lot of that.
We don't.
And I would like to know, as someone who I feel like at least I'm trying to always
become it now, like you're really trying to be your authentic self.
So I'm curious, do we think we'll see with the rise of like 20s and 30-year-olds being more thoughtful of like, what's like, do I really want to do this job? Do I really want this? Like, is this what I want my life to look like? I wonder if we will see.
They have that.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm curious. Like, and I know there's people out there that are like in their 50s and 60s and never, always did their dream job or always traveled. Like, I was going to
say, but when you meet those people, they really are just kind of who they are.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to have any of that. Like, they're just kind of very settled.
Yeah.
But very themselves. And usually very eccentric. It's never like, they usually aren't following this business path or this. They have a very different life. Excuse me.
Yeah. No, it's true.
They have a very different life.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to follow, and it can be hard. I feel like as I've gotten older, it's easier.
It's interesting, though. I would like to talk to someone who
I would like to know.
I just think as someone who is 40, now, mind you, I did not get to. I was told
definitely did not
to be whoever someone else wanted me to be.
Yes.
To make them happy.
Yep. Literally your whole life.
My whole life.
Literally
my whole life. And so I have gone through this like huge, I think it definitely started like a little bit here and there, but I think it really, my God, I think it really, really started in my 40s. And I think it really came to fruition. And I just got to this point where I was like, I will not live.
No.
Only as my authentic self.
Well, your therapist, what did your therapist had said something about like just that age in general, because you're getting to like not the halfway point, not to sound morbid, but like you're starting to be like, okay, like, you know, you realize how short life really is. Yeah. And you're like, who fucking cares? I need to do like what I want to do.
That is exactly. Like, of course I'm going to care when
and be
it comes
responsible
to my,
you
know, my family. Of course I'm going to care, but there's also a portion where it's like that caring has to come from a place of I cannot speak today. Authenticity. Yes. It has to come from a care of also caring for myself. Yeah. And there is absolutely, and I want to say that to women my age, there is absolutely a way to, you might have to have some pain. There might be some hurt. There might be a lot of uncomfortableness, but there is a way to still like claim yourself and be a mom. Yes. And be those things, but to show up as yourself, which is so important. Like, so you can look back and not say, what did I do? Who am I? I don't regret my kids, right? But like, I regret that like for so long, I took me and just locked me away and just played my role. Yeah. And was like, okay.
Well, I think it was a big part of how you were able to continue with life, though. I think you really had to, like, dissociate through a good part.
Yeah. Yeah. I dissociated. You know? It was like I was able to compartmentalize.
Yes,
like
compartmentalize.
I put me away, just focus on my kids, focused on, like, obviously not anything else because I was going through a horrific time. And then, like, it was just the hubbub of being a mom and, like, all the things going on and all the things that I was doing. And I'm still a mom, but I'm, like, it's just a different type of stage in my life. And, like, I realized I just got to this point where I was like, I don't want anyone in my life who doesn't love me for who I am. And if that means people leave my life, then so be it. Will it hurt? Yes, but so be it. Yes. Because I only want people that are like, I love her for her. Yes. And that's how I love, you know?
Well, I will say, as someone who compartmentalized through a lot of your life, you did a fucking kick-ass job because your kids are literally the sweetest. Like, every one of them are the sweetest. And they are always comfortable coming to you. And that was so important to me. That is so amazing. Like, and that's pretty amazing.
That was so important to me that I didn't get to have that, obviously. I didn't get to have that safety. In fact, me and Liz were talking about safety today, feeling safe. Like, places represent safety to her, like her grandma's house. Yeah. I don't have any of that. No. When I look back at my childhood, I'm like, I do realize that my bedroom, because I would like shut myself in my bedroom and I'd play all alone all the time. Like, I was my safety. Yes. But I didn't have any places or people that were my safety, but I wanted that for my kids. That was everything to me. Yes. That I created a place of safety for them to always come to me no matter what. Yep. And I love that. I love hearing you say that because it makes me really happy because that was important. Yeah. Because of where I came from.
Exactly. Well, you definitely took what happened to you and are like, fuck, that's never happening.
And that's honestly it. And and I look at people and I don't want to say or judge anyone else, but you can change how you raise your kids versus how you were raised or all the stuff that happened to you. You can change the narrative. Yep. You can. You 100% can. I'm a walking, talking person who did. Yes. You know, am I perfect? Was I a perfect mom? No, not even close.
Nobody is.
No, not even close. But the thing that you said, that is my success.
Well, I think you've always said raising good humans. Like, good-hearted people is more important than, like, someone who goes to, like, Stanford. Or something, you know?
Yeah. And I could care less about grades. I mean, yeah, I want them to have a career and be safe and but what their career is that makes them happy, that's on them. I'm not telling them what they have to do. But yeah, like good-hearted is everything. And empathetic. Then, empathetic, good-hearted, you know, just owns themselves. Yeah. And then owns who they are. Like, hey, and doesn't take it from, you know, like, is like, this is who I am. Yes. You don't like me, then be
someone
gone.
Else will.
You know, exactly. Right. Like, be gone kind of thing. So, yeah, the 40s have been interesting for me. I think it's one of my best set of years yet. Like, I love it. In fact, I'm, like, all excited about my 50s. Like, because I'm
I
like...
would be, too.
Because I hear so many women say that's the best set of years of their life. And I'm like, well, if I'm, like, going through my 40s like this, like... Hello, bring it on, you know? And then the interesting thing, because we're going into 50s through 70s, and it's really about depth, legacy, and liberation. But I want to also put out there that I was doing this research, and that did you know that adults are continuing a healthy sexual lifestyle well into their 80s?
Actually,
and I fucking love that.
That's the highest rate of STD patients. Are people, the senior citizens.
It is. Yeah. I mean, what else you got going on? You know, like
in the nursing home. Hey, you got a whole bunch of people to pick from.
But because of how most of us are living our life in a healthier way, it's creating where they're having that drive a lot longer, and it is well into their 80s that they are having a fulfilling sexual relationship or lifestyle. And I love it. I watch on TikTok all the time, The Villages. TikTok, oh my girl, I have to send you. They're the best things in the world.
Do you know that is where my mom wants to move?
Well, good for her, because she's going to have a fucking blast.
But the thing is, sometimes I'm like, you don't, that's not your lifestyle.
If that's not her lifestyle, then that's hard for her. But
that's what I'm like.
But I will say this.
I've told her about the loofah situation they have. They're swingers to the max. And hey, live that life, dude. I think that's amazing.
They do have a loofah that's for not.
Okay.
So you cannot.
But she doesn't even believe me when I say that. I'm like, girl, that is their thing.
I'm going to pass the TikToks to you then. Because you could pass them to her. Yeah, they're getting down. Yes. They're grinding each other on on live music every night. I mean, they're grinding. Yes. They're like, one old man got on the floor and was like doing this pump on the ground. Oh, I was just like, hello, sir, get it. And this old lady was coming out like, here I go. I'm like, that's going to be me.
Yep.
So men are starting to start craving peace, consistency, and legacy. Libido may lessen, but desire for companionship often increases. But they're actually finding that because of lifestyle and how we're becoming healthier, that libido is not lessening as fiercely. If they haven't done inner work, loneliness can set in at this time. Do inner work. Do your shadow work. Do it all.
So you don't have a midlife crisis.
Yes. So women, post-menopause, hormonal shift. Less people-pleasing. Good God almighty. Because I don't want to people-please now. Sexual freedom may increase. No fear of pregnancy. No concern for judgment. So God forbid.
You know what? That's going to be my time to live it up.
Yeah. All right? Exactly.
The second I don't have to worry about that.
They become the emotional and spiritual powerhouses of their communities, mentors, guides, and boundary keepers. Yep. So the modern shift for women right now, and for men. So again, for men, the modern shift is they are having a longer libido. They're not like, it's not lessening, and the testosterone is actually staying risen.
Good.
Fairly well. Women, though, are nothing like past generations. They're dating, starting over, all through these ages, 50s, 60s, and 70s, experimenting or redefining what it means to age. They're not disappearing.
I love that.
They're arriving.
I love it.
It gives me goosebumps.
Yes, I think it's amazing.
Get it. Yes. And it's like, and women don't, like, I've gotten that way where I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm getting wrinkles. And like, no, I have. Like, I've gotten a moment where I'm just like, oh my God, like, but yeah, I got fucking wrinkles, but I'm also hot. Yeah. So it's like, whatever. Like, you know, you're going to get wrinkles.
Right. That's part of aging.
It's life. Like, it's fine. It's no big deal. And I think that more women has got to not be embarrassed by it. No. And they need to show up.
No. I think there's nothing wrong with it.
In fact, I put on like that, I was doing a TikTok and I put on that Republican lady makeup one or whatever, and I was just laughing, and someone commented, like, because obviously they were offended that I put that on and laughed about Republican. And they're like, did it come with wrinkles? And I just went with some laughy face. And in the past, I'd have been like, man, I've been like, yeah, it comes with wrinkles.
It actually did,
yeah. 47. Like, what the hell do you think? Like, I'm not over here being, So it actually just made me laugh. And that was like a big shift for me and empowering to be like.
But earlier, Heather would have been like, I'm deleting it.
I would have been like, no.
I'm deleting my TikTok account.
No, I was so vain. I would have had, but no, I don't. Yeah. I'm good now. So are women changing? And this guy pivoted more towards women because it really is women. So yes, and radically. We're changing. Women are now the leading force in redefining relationships. Emotional fluency, spiritual awakening, financial independence, and bodily autonomy are shifting their priorities. Women are no longer tolerating connection without depth.
Yes.
Sex without safety, or roles without reciprocity.
Yes.
Meanwhile, many men are still catching up. Sorry, guys. Emotionally, socially, sexually. But the ones who are doing the work, they're finding partnerships, not just relationships.
So true. It's so freaking true.
So women are absolutely changing radically.
Yep.
Like we discussed, is that going to leave men behind?
I actually have a different... I used to think that, yes. I have a different theory now. And my thing is, throughout history, you look at anything, women kind of... in a way, rule everything. Because men do everything for women. They do everything for sex. If women are the driving force between, no, I'm going to require more of you.
Yeah.
No, I need you to actually be emotionally intelligent. No, I need you to actually have conversations with me and care about me and connection.
I want a connection. I don't want your dick.
I think it's going to I think men naturally just are going to.
And for a lot of women to catch up, which they are,
yes.
Because in the past, you would have 5 billion of them at your fingertips. One would be like, no, and the other would be like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. Like, I'll do it with just the little crumbs you give me. Yeah. That's kind of disappearing.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
I think it'll always be a thing, but I do think if women are the driving force behind this, I think men are just going to have to
catch up.
Yeah. I think they will.
But I think, guys... you're going to find so much fulfillment if you do the work and you do that inner work and you come emotionally and you're like, I'm going to be a partner to you.
Yes.
I am going to connect with you. I am going to be open and vulnerable with you. I'm going to do all those things with you. I think you're going to find yourself so fulfilled alongside with her. And like that said, a partnership, not a relationship. Yes. And I think that's a really beautiful way, I think, kind of to end that, right?
I agree.
Like, it's a partnership, not a relationship. So a lot of differences. I did have one other thing. I said end it, right? But I do have one other thing. Do you think, and I guess I kind of answered it earlier, about women, like women in their 40s, men in their 20s, that biologically they're just kind of lining up with what, because women in their 40s aren't looking for...
nothing serious.
They're exploring themselves, right? Guys in their 20s aren't looking for anything serious. They're exploring themselves. So they kind of line up. Do you think, because you were a younger female, I never experienced wanting to date people older than me. Do you think that women in their 20s are more geared, or 30s, to look at older guys because they're looking for more depth and more emotional
100%.
Like,
for me,
connection.
That's always been the case. I have never dated older, so I can't, like, I will say, like, I never really found that depth always, because it was, like, 3, 4, 5 years older than me. But it's still significant, and to me, like, it's just always, I don't know, it's always, like, been, like, a thing. It's just a thing for me. But I do think that. I think they want somebody with more depth and this stability. More than anything. Yeah. I think women inherently just are, not always, I think because a lot of the time women now are being independent on their own. Like they don't need a guy for money. But I do think that there are just going to be women that kind of do want that. And that is important to them. And someone who can support them, and not fully, but be able to take them out, or be able to, like, not be bogged down with, like, I don't know. Like, I think that a lot of the time it's for stability and probably emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You would go for an older man.
And so then that begs the question, okay, a 20-some-year-old going for a 40-some-year-old man. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can kind of see why they would want that. But then what does it look like for because I feel like there is a pretty big difference of like a 40-some-year-old woman that is just like messing around with a 20-some-year-old guy versus a 40-year-old guy. I hate to say it, but going after a younger girl.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's like a stigma there.
I think, so here's my thought, and let me know if you agree. I think if you're looking for a good time, either way, whether you're a 40-year-old man or 40-year-old woman looking for someone in their 20s, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I do think if you're looking for a relationship, I do think you're going to come into problems because there are just such big differences. You're at such big different points in your life as 20-year-olds.
Absolutely.
And you may disagree with me now if you're in your 20s. You're going to be so different in your 30s, I promise you.
And so different in your 40s.
I can promise
you're gonna be like,
you
who was I even?
Yeah.
That's how you're going to come. You're going to be like, I
don't
even know who that person is.
And that's why I never went for older. Because I've always known, like, I've always wanted somebody in my generation. At least. Like, I want someone to get the things that I always say or that I laugh about or that I grew up with, but I don't want somebody younger than me.
Yeah. And there is people that can be in a different generation that just...
Yeah. I think there's some
more
people...
of a, like, for your younger spirit. And so they get it, or they have, like, that connection where they can connect on things that, like, you grew up with or whatever.
And I think there's younger girls and guys who just always liked things from, like, older generations. Yes. So, like, I'm not saying that it's impossible. Like, of course, there's always instances where things work. But I think, I do think with men that are, like, in their 40s trying to, like, date a 20-year-old something, it's not always going to work.
I think, unfortunately, the men who are in their later 40s, 50s, and they date 20-year-olds, there is a stigma because there has been a very, like, the type of guy who does that, and they are very predatory, right?
Yes.
Like, they have a very
and they
predatory
probably
vibe.
haven't healed themselves from things. They probably haven't worked on a lot of things. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
So maybe if you just come into it like, hey, like, I'm,
And I think it's...
Like me, I'm like, yeah, hi. My name's Heather, and I have trauma, and I'm a Sagittarius, and
I just want to have a good time.
Chaotic and wild, and I just want to have a good time. Thanks.
Yeah. But, I think it kind of works a little more with women that are older because you are kind of the women just kind of are like the deciding factor, I think, at the end of the day. And if you truly are looking for that, I think men are more receptive to just a good time versus a woman. So like a man, like a 40-year-old man who's like goes to a 20-year-old girl, I'm just looking for a good time. That 20-year-old girl is more than likely going to be like,
cut.
He's going to want to be with me though. Like they're always thinking like, oh, but they're going to want to be with me. I can change that. I can fix it. I'm going to be the different one.
No! You can't change them.
Not how that works.
You can't change them.
But again,
PSA. You can't change them.
There could be women that totally are down for a good time.
Public safety announcement. It's not safety announcement.
I mean, kind of.
That's what I was saying. Like,
kind of.
Yeah. So.
I just know like the stories I've heard because my sister she's a little sugar baby. The things I've heard, I'm like, woo.
Yeah. Woo. Exactly. So. But I think we'll just end it there.
Yes.
It's a good topic. It's a good thought-provoking topic. Mm-hmm. Definitely go look up some research. It's pretty interesting looking at all the biological parts that kind of come into play and like testosterone and estrogen and how that all plays. I can say when I read that about 40-year-olds, I was like, that's exactly where I'm at. And I can kind of say with the people that is in my life that that's exactly where they are at. Yeah. But there is... I really focused on the woman part because there is such a radical change in women versus men, which men are changing too, but it's such a slower developing change. But with women, it's pretty radical where we're coming from and how we're showing up now and what we're expecting and
100%.
And what we expect guys to bring into our life. So it was just interesting. And it was fun.
I love it.
It was a good time. It's a good time.
It was a lot funner than last week's. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.